Hey, have you seen Star Trek Picard? Do you like Picard? I like Picard. I think it's been a good show. I'm gonna do a review on it. Stick around. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me again for another edition of this review of Star Trek. Tonight, I want to be talking about my review of Picard Episode 1. I watched it earlier today, ready to go do that voodoo because, I've been looking forward to this one. Now, if you were around, paid attention, you've been watching me on my new Sci-Fi channel here, you've seen me review Discovery, and you've seen me talk about my experience with Star Trek. First, the experience with science fiction, then my review of Discovery. And Discovery was kind of a little bit of a harsh review. A lot of ranty Chris goes on with Discovery because they took something I enjoy and they really kind of did ugly things with it, I felt, and I just kind of had to ventilate and express myself. And so I was really hopeful with Picard. So today I watched the first episode. Now, we did try this before. The last time, actually, before I go on, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Good morning, Tons of Mice and Christian Watkins and everybody watching. Hello, thank you for joining me this evening. I said morning, this evening. I watched Picard Episode 1 before, and that was right after watching Discovery. I remember watching Discovery, and it was like, oh man, I am just rent asunder. I cannot watch. But you know what? All right, let's try Picard. And I remember trying to watch Picard, and I'm like, look, he looked left when he should have looked right. Because I was so jilted from what had happened with Discovery. I was so eager to pounce on anything. You know, so I kind of needed to step away. So we didn't watch anymore, and we stepped away. I realized I was being unfair. So I just wanted to say that I did need that break, because I watched it today, and I did enjoy it a lot more than I did the first time. Of course, Picard, there's things about Picard. Patrick Stewart, love me some Patrick Stewart. He is just wonderful. I love Brent Spiner. I love Data. All those peeps. You know, much loves to all of those characters. I think it's awesome that he named his dog number 1. Spoiler alert! Listen, people, if you haven't seen Star Trek Picard by this point, turn it off. Go watch Star Picard. Come back. Spoiler alert. Okay, so he names his dog number 1. I think that's awesome. You know, that's just, there's a lot being said there. There's a lot of subtlety. I really enjoyed that with the character. Thought that was a good call. I want to say in the opening view, right at the very beginning, there's this opening, and it's got you don't get a very long shot of the Enterprise D, but it's a fantastic shot of the Enterprise D coming right at you and kind of swooping by, and it's really, really nice. And he kind of went into the window. Thought the graphics were fantastic. But then I have to say because you know there's a negative Nelly in there somewhere, and in this particular case, hey, okay, good for you. We'll see how our observations compare. Tons of Mice watched it today. I want to try it real quick because apparently maybe this works sometimes. Kickstarting our cloud bot, because you kind of have to do that. So I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna see if I can kickstart it because I have a poll going about if you've seen Picard and if you like Picard. So I'm going to go real quick. Un moment, give me a minute. Once we get, we really, I promise we should not have to do this. See, does that work? Did it send a thing?
This is a test donation for $54.
I'm not, there it goes. So maybe sometimes whenever we trigger something like those things, those other little features of Streamlabs, that'll get the chat bot working. Sometimes that explains why, despite not being monetized, I have a full jar. You can tip, but anyway, so that's kind of, let me go back. I just wanted to see if I could get that, because I want to get a poll on the people who watch to see real quick if they have done the thing. There we go. All right, so back to business. Okay, so but one thing I really did notice that it was kind of a little jarring, and it got, you've got the length of the show, so about the first half of the show and really that first kind of quarter, they really did this thing with the gold. Everything is gold. The lights, the shining through, the whole scene is golden. If you look up Picard images on the internet for whatever reason, you can tell. You can see the gold in the background and everything. There's mucho gold. I don't know if they're going to do that throughout the whole show, but it was, at first I was like, wow, I kind of dig their subtle gold that they're throwing in. I've seen other shows do that before where they do green, like Matrix did the green or whatever, green in the Matrix, white or clear outside the Matrix, whatever. I thought that was cool. But then, they get into the interview and all that stuff, and then for long you've got these really big light flares, like Jar Jar Abrams-esque light flares, and there's just gold washed, everything, just big, huge scenes washed in gold. And fortunately, they kind of eased off on that a little bit as they went in. It seems they got, because it was I was like, man, this is beautiful. But it was a little artsy, a little too much. Anyway, so I thought that was a little odd. So let's see what else we got going on. The opening scene with Raj and her boyfriend and the fight with the guys and the knife, and they kill the boyfriend, and then she's pop Hong Kong cha. That was really cool. I dig that. They did a good job with that. Had the bag over her head and everything, and she did the thing at the place to the people. That was cool scene. Not, it's not really. Star Trek is moderning up, right? We can't say that, oh, sure, that would not have fit so much in a Next Generation kind of scenario where we know Picard from. But again, this is a different series in a new world, and we're different. It's 30 years different. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with it. So after this really cool fight scene, we get this introduction. And fellow Picard lovers, lovers of Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I have to say, I have to give it the credit it deserves. At least they weren't singing. Because there's a lot of people who dislike the singing. But it goes to this really unfortunate introduction. It's kind of boring. I love classical music. They've used classical music to wonderful effect throughout all of the Star Treks previously, I believe. And I was really hoping for a really good, solid musical introduction and video. But the video was like blobs floating in space, like a virus-looking stuff under a microscope, and then like a planet falling apart, but like a cartoon of a planet, not really. It just wasn't that good of an introduction. I was mediocre. I'm thinking, okay. So there was that. Let's see. So moving on, we get to the painting by Data. They move on. They go through this painting by Data, and I dig it. It's cool. I understand the concept and the premise and what's going on. Data had a daughter. Her name was Lal. Right? Bruce Maddox, of all people, because he worshipped the ground Data walked on, would have known this. Data made 2 copies of this piece of art, apparently. One he gave to Picard, and one lived in the thing. So how would Maddox have gotten so intimate with it anyway to choose that over Lal, which is a clear, obvious choice for a daughter for Data, if you're going to have a daughter for Data, for somebody to actually literally call for the story writer, Stephen, why bother with the painting locked up in a place when Data actually had a female daughter who looked not unlike this person? They could have based it on Lal. They didn't, and I don't get that. And I don't get why they're blaming it on Maddox, because again, Maddox, how would he have had access to this painting, and why would it have more influence on his decision to make a female robot than Lal? If you've seen The Next Generation, that should be obvious. And I often wonder, the writers, I get this show is it's a very pretty show. It's beautiful, lots of gold. Scenes are very well done. Shots are very well done. Love me some Brent Spiner. You know, I'm not the writing that I bashed on in the other show. Can't really say. You know, there was a couple of moments that got a little slow where they were talking and doing exposition, but they must, because that's you know, it is what it is. So I didn't think it was as far as that part of it goes. I thought it was really solid. They were just had little things like that about Lal, and why would you choose that? Now, I haven't seen the rest of it. There may be more to it that I don't know, but I just think it's to make up things that weren't there before rather than to use things that were there and have people go, oh, yeah, I remember that. That's badass. Just kind of doesn't. Now, again, this is my first time. I've only seen this. I remember the last time we saw it, we did not go further than seeing her twin sister in the Borg cube being worked on by the Romulans and the humans and whatever. You know, I remember ending it there. That was all I saw. So I may go on. They may give us great examples and may be wonderful. So I want to mention that Picard, when he goes into the archives, which I think is like his personal storage, apparently, that, you know, everybody else can go see. They can, but they can't. It's archives, but it's a museum. I'm not really sure. Anyway, it was really cool because it had some cool stuff in there. But it appears as though Star Trek has a bat'leth. Picard has a bat'leth just like mine. I mean, when you go watch Picard, he goes into his thing, there's a bat'leth there. I would think, because of who he was and the history he had with the Klingons, that the bat'leth he had would be quite ornate or something. The one he has in his archive looks literally just like that one, which is like the one that, okay, so you're going to come on Deep Space Nine. Worf's got his bat'leth. You're going to be like an extra Klingon to come fight Worf. This is the bat'leth you get. Run of the mill. This is all of them. They all look like this. I just thought, you know, maybe they'd draw a little happy face or something on it. I don't know. But it was cool that he had a bat'leth just like mine. I did think that was cool. Very cool. Love my bat'leth, by the way. So, yeah, there was that. Let me carry on. So let me just kind of read, because I didn't make the note. Let me read this. They said Maddox took the cue from Data's painting, but again, I think Maddox would have chosen Lal, and we also have to point out how narrow it is, how unlikely it is Maddox would have had access to Data's paintings, because one's on Picard's wall and one's in the museum. So how did Maddox do the thing and get all honey buttered up to that thing whenever he actually had Lal there? I'm just gonna can't let that one go, really. Okay, all right. There's a part in the show where Lal explodes. And, you know, who hasn't wanted to, especially in today's climate? But now I do kind of think it's a little, all right, so they kill a Romulan. Bang, the Romulan falls down. He spits some goo on her. And she explodes. That was odd. Very odd. I thought that was very odd. Did they all have goo in their mouths just in case they got close enough to spit goo on her? Is that how they worked? I mean, how exactly? Why didn't one of them do that sooner? Anyway, so, but then there's this thing, right? I mean, how old is Patrick Stewart? Patrick Stewart has got to be, I'm going to look. Let me look. Patrick Stewart. I'm going to look this up. Internet, don't fail me now. Patrick Stewart. All right, because I love me some Patrick Stewart. My hero since I was a little kid. He was also an advocate for 80. He is 80 years old. Okay, so there's a scene in the show where Daj explodes, and I don't know, for as frail as he already looks, and he's 80 years old, and you see him move, and he's really old and frail, and I'm going to put this picture up. I think I got this picture up. Let me share this with you. This is the scene of the explosion. Now, you can see Picard. She's up here. She's blown up in her mini-nuclear fashion. And here's Picard. Now, he is down below. I do get that. But it lifts him off his feet significantly. And I don't know what kind of concussive force there was, that how much damage that would have done to him in order to lift him off his feet. But the velocity he's traveling at, and the fact that he's so, like, helpless, when this man hits the ground, he's breaking bones. Bones are going down. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they got different bones in the 25th and a half century or whatever. But I mean, I'm just eyeballing that and I'm thinking, bones broken. And you know, he wakes up on his couch, in his sweater. I think it's the same sweater. It doesn't even look like he went to the hospital or anything. Just kind of, I'm just saying that would have been dead. When we were watching, my wife's a nurse, and we were sitting here watching, she's like, Dad, we tend to do that when we see people on shows who, you know, something would have really killed somebody, dead, or, you know, the wife would be, or well, actually, I usually do it. She doesn't do it. I point it out, and she's like, yeah, that's right. Somebody will get shot, and I'll be like, oh, that's an ostomy. That's an ostomy. And she's like, yeah, they'd need an ostomy after that. Yeah, so 80 last month. Yeah, so that would have been a, I know, but you're right. Maddox did love after Data. I just see it hard pressed to, all things considered. But again, I haven't seen the rest of the show, so that may explain that. That really was a hiccup for me. And the first time I saw it, this time here, I'm like, you know, okay, let's move on. Daughters, let's find out why there's twins, and I want to know more this time. I'm eager. I'm not as jilted after as I was after Discovery. So 80 last month, and he said he could see Data's art. I could see that because he did studied Data. Yes. Okay, so and again, by about the halfway, they kind of started toning down the gold a little bit. It was still there, you know, but it wasn't so bad. It was, I mean, I appreciate what they were doing. They just really started getting overblown with it. And had I had enough time before the show, I actually considered putting a really thick gold filter on my thing, on my show here, but I didn't have enough time. I'm not that tech savvy. I have already enough time with tech gremlins not eating my show up. I didn't actually take time to say hi to the camera god up there, and then of course the bald spot camera back there. They're all working. So for now, anyway, so on with the show. But I really enjoyed the graphics. They did a wonderful job. There was this scene, I'm not sure where, maybe he was going to the Daystrom Institute. I don't know where it was. I don't remember offhand, but it was, half the building was underwater, and it kind of had this spiral of a building that came out of the water, and it looked very beautiful. I thought that was just fantastic. All of the cityscapes, beautiful. The ships, anytime they showed a ship landing, a craft. Oh, one thing I thought it was really cool, that in that little museum they had the Batleth, of course. They also had the Stargazer, and they had the Captain's Yacht from the Enterprise E. I thought those were very good nods to those respective stories, parts of his life. Very good. Of all the things they could have from his life in there, you know. Again, that does kind of make the drab Batleth kind of stick out even more. Why would they put one that didn't have a story to it? I don't know. Maybe it does have a story. Moving on, my brain forgot. So I want to say something, that there's something they're going on about here, is synthetics that look human on the inside and outside to where you can't tell they're not. I mean, this sounds like Blade Runner meets Star Trek. That's kind of how it sounds. The Golden Gate Bridge looked like it was paved with solar panels. Good eye, tons of mice. I'm gonna have to check that out, Drake, and see if that. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Again, tomorrow night I'm gonna try to watch another episode and do this right here. You know, I got a lot of streaming going on, so we'll see. I may take a break. I may need a break. I want to say though, I did enjoy the graphics of the Romulan ship and the Borg cube at the end. As we get near the end of this little thing, the story was pretty good. I dug the story, and I like the Romulans who are living with Picard. It makes sense because you know, one of the things Picard seems to be doing is actually sticking to a story. The story. I mean, the J.J. Abrams timeline, the Kelvin timeline with the explosion and Spock going back in time. That's wait. Is that the same thing? That is the same thing they're talking about. Yeah, it is. So I like that they're sticking with that instead, and that there's ramifications and repercussions from what happened there, and they're having to go on. I really do think that's cool on them. So Picard, I'm disappointed with Discovery. I am going to go back and do an episode by episode review of Discovery. I may not do it live. I may do those recorded and do the thing, but I'm just doing my quick review, and all the things that I just happened to remember and see on Discovery really made my brain hurt. I haven't gotten that notion from Picard yet. I'm enjoying it. I need me some good Star Trek. Picard, don't let me down. And of course, naturally, it wouldn't be Picard, right? And I kind of noticed something else that happened. It seemed to happen during the show is that I had a very hard time, and I don't know if this is a CBS thing or a me thing. Obviously, it's not a Picard thing. I had a hard time with the sound. It would go from what are they saying to turn it up. Oh, bang, 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 bang. Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. Oh, bang, bang. You know, I mean, I've got voice meter potato. I've got limiters set up. I'm pretty well set up, and I mean, it's got to be really bad for it to happen. I don't know. Tons of mice. You saw it too. I don't know. Maybe it was something between. I don't know, but I had a hard time with the audio, keeping it in check. But obviously, that's not their problem. Otherwise, I really actually enjoyed Star Trek Picard. If you were, or the first episode of Star Trek Picard, if you were saying, yeah, okay, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. Because man, I worked pretty hard with my nerdiness to get my sound working, and I really did seem to have a hard time wrangling the audio on it. So yeah, but I did enjoy it. You know, if you were coming here looking for me to rant on it like I did on Discovery, well, so far, no, not yet. Now I've heard spoilers. I haven't seen beyond this point, but I've heard spoilers that somehow, and I don't know how, but somehow we are the cause of the Borg. And I think that's unfortunate writing. I really do. Because the Borg, why do we have to do everything? Are we that arrogant that we have to be or do or cause every freaking thing? You know, really? I mean, let the Borg be the Borg. Let's cause other horrible shit right here. Don't say bad words. Don't say bad words. Anyway, okay, so that's it for my first review from Picard. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below let me know how you feel about Picard, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. You know, did you like all the gold? Did you think Jar Jar Abrams was there for a minute with all the flair there for like the first 10 or 15 minutes, then it kind of went away? What were your thoughts on that? You know, so leave me. Do you know why he has a bat'leth? Do you remember something I don't? I mean, I knew he was involved with the Klingons. Leave me comments down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and the thumbs up and do the thing. Bless it, pray over it, Jedi mind trick, that kind of thing. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time. Take care. Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Ian Davenport, Cindy Plaza, and tons of mice. Thank you, and have a great day.